welcome to the Deep Dive. It is incredibly good to have you here with us today.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
If you're joining right now, you're likely someone who interacts with the digital economy on a daily basis. Maybe you're prepping for a marketing strategy meeting, or maybe you're an entrepreneur trying to figure out how to stand out.
Or honestly, perhaps you're just intensely curious about where the architecture of the internet is actually heading next.
Exactly. Whatever brought you here, you are in the right place. Our mission today is to unpack this massive, defining contradiction playing out right now in 2026.
It's a big one.
It really is. We've got our hands on a fascinating script excerpt from episode 16 of a show called The Creators Lab. And the core theme they tackle is this wild paradox.
Right, the growth paradox.
Yeah. The creator economy is undeniably growing at just a rapid pace, yet the vast majority of individual creators inside that economy are, well, they're actively shrinking.
Which makes no sense on the surface.
Right. So, okay, let's unpack this, because understanding this dynamic, this intense battle over attention and digital infrastructure, it's absolutely critical for anyone trying to cut through the noise and actually build something sustainable today.
It really is the defining business contradiction of our current digital era. I mean, we're looking at an ecosystem that looks phenomenally healthy from a macroeconomic perspective.
Oh, totally. The top line numbers are huge.
Exactly. But when you examine the micro level, the actual mechanics are failing the very people who power the engine. The perspective shared in the Creators Lab points out that on paper, the barriers to entry are effectively zero now.
You just need a phone.
A smartphone, an internet connection, access to some generative tools, and boom, which means you are ostensibly a creator.
But that's the trap, isn't it?
It is. That surface-level democratization is masking a much harsher economic reality underneath all of it.
And the numbers backing up that reality give us a very clear picture of the scale here. The global creator economy is now estimated to be worth over $250 billion.
Which is staggering.
It's an industrialized sector of the global economy at this point, driven by over 50 million creators globally. The sheer output is, we're talking millions of new videos being uploaded every single day.
What's fascinating here is how that wealth is actually distributed, because when an industry hits a $250 billion valuation, the natural assumption is that a rising tide lifts all boats, right?
Right. You'd think everyone gets a slice.
But that is fundamentally not what is happening. The top 5 to 10% of creators are capturing the vast majority of the revenue. They're basically operating as full-fledged media companies.
While everyone else gets the crumbs.
Exactly. Meanwhile, the middle tier, the people who have decent followings and put out really high-quality work, they're getting completely squeezed out. The middle class of the creator economy is essentially evaporating.
Which brings up the obvious question of why. If there is more money and more users than ever before, why is the middle class dying?
It's a structural issue.
Yeah, the argument in the excerpt points directly to the environment we operate in. We are trapped in what they call infinite scrolling attention loops. The supply of content has wildly outpaced the human capacity to actually consume it.
Humans only have so many hours in the day.
Exactly. So the platforms compensate by gamifying the feed.
Right. And because of these infinite scrolling loops, attention has never been cheaper to acquire. A brand new account can post a video today and get 1,000 views simply because the algorithm needs fresh fodder.
It's just testing it in the feed.
Yes, to keep users scrolling. The platforms are subsidizing cheap attention, but the economic result of that inflation is that while a view is cheap, true ownership of an audience has never been more valuable.
And infinitely harder to secure. Okay, but let me push back on that for a second. Isn't visibility the required first step? Like, you can't build infrastructure or own an audience if nobody even knows you exist. How do we reconcile the need to be seen with the idea that cheap attention is a trap?
That's a great distinction to make. Visibility is absolutely the top of the funnel. You need discovery, you have to be seen. The trap is when visibility becomes the only metric a creator optimizes for. They get a hit of that cheap attention, they see a spike in views, and they think they are building a business. But they aren't. They're just feeding the loop. They optimize purely for the viral moment rather than focusing on retention and capture.
The excerpt has a really brilliant way of framing this. It says, creators are stalling out because they build audience surface rather than infrastructure depth.
Yes, the surface area problem.
Think about it like this, and you listening, really picture this. Imagine you're trying to catch rain to survive in a volatile climate. Building audience surface is like paving a massive, miles-wide concrete parking lot,
Wide and totally flat.
right? When a piece of content goes viral, it rains. That huge surface area gets wet, millions of raindrops hit it, and from the sky, it looks incredibly impressive.
You're touching millions of users.
You have successfully interacted with millions of drops of water. But because it's just a flat, shallow surface, the moment the sun comes out, the water evaporates. You have absolutely nothing left to drink.
That is a highly accurate way to visualize the vulnerability of the current model.
We've all seen this play out in the real world too, right?
Yeah.
Think of a creator who goes viral for a random 10-second comedy skit. They get 20 million views.
Huge numbers.
Massive.
Yeah.
But a year later, you check back in on them, and they're desperately trying to recreate that exact same 10-second skit. They're wearing the same outfit, using the same audio, because their parking lot dried up. They captured no one.
They just got wet for a minute.
Exactly. Conversely, building infrastructure depth is like building a deep, structurally sound well. It doesn't have the sprawling, flashy surface area. Very few people might even notice it from above.
But it's functional.
Yes. When it rains, that well captures the water, retains it, and plumbs it deeply into a system you control. When the drought inevitably comes, you still have water. You still have a business.
Saying the droughts always come, usually in the form of an algorithm shift. Relying solely on audience surface places a creator entirely at the mercy of opaque machine learning systems.
Which change without warning.
Constantly. We have seen this historically over and over again. We saw it when platforms shifted from chronological feeds to algorithmic feeds. We saw it during the infamous pivot to video era that wiped out entire digital publishers overnight.
I remember that. It was brutal.
If all you have is surface area, your entire existence relies on a platform deciding to make it rain on your specific patch of concrete today.
Which is an incredibly precarious way to live. The source material delivers a harsh wake-up call regarding this exact vulnerability. It states that if your income depends entirely on views, virality, and brand deals, you do not actually own a business.
The exact phrasing used is, you own volatility.
You own volatility.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it makes perfect sense. In traditional business, if a bakery relied on a landlord who randomly moved the front door of the shop to a different street every week without warning, they would go out of business.
Nobody would be able to find the bread.
Exactly. That is the algorithmic feed. When you rely on views, you are renting distribution. When you rely on brand deals, you are renting someone else's marketing budget.
You're just a middleman for rent.
You don't own the customer relationship, you don't own the distribution channel, and you don't control the product. You are absorbing all the volatility of the market, but capturing none of the underlying equity.
You own volatility. So if owning volatility is the disease, how does the modern creator cure it?
That's the pivot to infrastructure.
Right. The excerpt outlines a shift toward what we might call business architecture. It moves away from the idea of just being a quote-unquote content creator and focuses on building an ecosystem requiring an owned audience, repeatable funnels, and predictable systems.
The 3 pillars.
Let's ground those terms a bit for our listeners because they get thrown around a lot in marketing seminars, but they mean something very specific in the 2026 creator economy.
Let's look at them holistically because they function as a continuous loop. An owned audience is the foundation. It means establishing a direct line of communication that no algorithm can throttle.
Like email?
A mailing list, a private community platform, direct SMS channels where hitting send guarantees the message reaches the recipient without a middleman taking a cut of the reach. But to get people into that own space, you need the second piece, which is repeatable funnels.
Right, because nobody just hands over their email address anymore without a very compelling reason. The friction is just too high now.
Exactly. A repeatable funnel is a structured consumer journey. It means when someone discovers a creator through that cheap algorithmic attention we talked about, there is a deliberate path laid out for them.
It's not just a blind link in a bio.
No, it's a specific value proposition that moves them from a casual viewer to a subscriber and eventually to a customer. And this process has to work consistently, independently of viral luck.
It has to be a machine.
Yes. Finally, predictable systems refers to the back-end architecture. It's how a creator produces, edits, and distributes their work without burning out. It is the operational leverage that allows them to step away from the keyboard for a week without their entire income stream collapsing.
Here's where it gets really interesting. The excerpt doesn't just diagnose the fragility of the market. It lays out a definitive 2026 survival guide.
This is the playbook.
It highlights a distinct shift happening right now, among the creators who are successfully scaling alongside that $250 billion economy. And the first major shift is that survivors build assets, not just posts.
This is a profound change in resource allocation. The life cycle of a standard social media post in 2026 is incredibly brief.
It's basically a flash in the pan.
It lives in the feed for maybe 24 to 48 hours, spikes in engagement, and is then buried forever beneath millions of newer uploads. It is a consumable good. An asset, however, is engineered for long-term utility.
Let's break down the life cycle of an asset over, say, a 12-month period to really highlight that difference.
Sure.
If a creator spends a week making a highly reactive video about a trending pop culture moment, that's a post. It's dead by next Tuesday. But what if they spend that exact same week building an asset?
If they build an asset, say, a comprehensive evergreen video guide solving a persistent problem in their niche, or a proprietary software template, the trajectory is entirely different.
How does it play out?
Month 1, it gets initial views. Month 3, it is being surfaced in AI search summaries because it provides definitive answers. Month 6, it serves as the foundational curriculum for a paid community they launch.
And it just keeps going.
Month 12, it is still generating daily leads into their email funnel. The survivors are allocating their time toward things that compound in value, stepping off the daily content treadmill.
Stepping off the treadmill to build the well. And that naturally leads into the second major shift for survivors. They are aggressively converting that fleeting platform attention into owned relationships.
Relationships being the key word.
We touched on this with the owned audience concept,
Yeah.
but the emphasis here is on the relationship aspect. It's about migrating trust off the rented land.
They recognize that the platform is just the greeting at the door. The actual relationship happens in the living room.
That's a great way to put it.
They use the algorithm's cheap reach as a top-of-funnel discovery engine, but they are designing high-value friction points to pull their true fans away from the infinite scroll.
They don't want them scrolling past.
Right. They are offering private forums, in-depth newsletters, or direct interactions that require the user to actively choose to follow them off-platform. They are filtering for intent.
And the third piece of this survival guide is how they handle distribution. The smartest creators are systemizing their distribution rather than constantly chasing the latest trends.
Chasing trends is the ultimate symptom of owning volatility. If the algorithm suddenly rewards a specific editing style or audio track, millions of creators immediately scramble to mimic it, hoping for a hit of cheap attention.
They all become identical.
The structurally sound creators refuse to play that game. They systemize how their assets get in front of people.
Let's clarify what systemized distribution actually looks like today, especially regarding things like SEO. Because search engine optimization in 2026 is not just about stuffing keywords into a blog post for Google, right?
Not at all. SEO today is about optimizing for discovery across highly fragmented ecosystems.
It's way more complex now.
It means structuring your video metadata so it is perfectly digestible for large language models that generate AI search overviews. It means optimizing for the internal search engines of platforms like YouTube or specific community networks, rather than just relying on the algorithmic recommendation feed.
You're making it easy for the machines to categorize you.
Exactly. It also relies heavily on strategic partnerships, cross-promotions with other newsletters, and leveraging their existing email lists. Their distribution is proactive and planned, completely insulated from whatever the trending dance or audio happens to be that week.
The core argument here, the ultimate thesis of the Creators Lab excerpt, is a fundamental paradigm shift. For years, the prevailing advice was simply make more content, post every day, be everywhere.
Grind it out.
Yeah, the grind. But the data shows that the next wave of winners won't be the ones who are the loudest. They will be the ones who are the most structured. The future isn't about increasing the volume of content. It's about fundamentally changing the utility of the content you already make.
That is the infrastructure advantage defined. You are taking a video and turning it into a funnel. You are taking a written post and turning it into a pipeline.
You're building plumbing.
You take fleeting ideas and forge them into tangible, compounding assets. You do the heavy, unglamorous work of building structural depth in the background, while the vast majority of the market remains trapped in the infinite scroll, paving wider and wider parking lots.
To summarize where this leaves us, the macro view is clear. The creator economy itself is expanding and will continue to push well past that $250 billion valuation.
How many is there?
It is. But only the structurally sound creators, the ones operating as true businesses with depth, will scale along with it. If you are just making noise, you will simply be drowned out by the millions of new uploads tomorrow.
And this framework extends far beyond just digital content creators. Even if you are listening to this and you have never uploaded a video in your life, the concept of designing leverage is universally applicable.
Let's look at how this applies to a traditional corporate career or a freelance business. Because you're right, this isn't just for YouTubers.
The mechanics are identical. If your career advancement relies entirely on the visibility of one specific internal company metric, or if your freelance business depends entirely on cold outreach through a single third-party platform, you are owning volatility.
You're at the mercy of their system.
Building infrastructure depth in a traditional career means owning your relationships, your client list, your professional network, your reputation independently of your current employer's ecosystem.
Your own personal email list of clients, essentially.
Right. It means creating assets like specialized skills or proprietary workflows that make you undeniably valuable regardless of how the external algorithms of your specific industry shift. It is about moving from a rented position to an owned position.
Build the well, no matter what industry you are in. So what does this all mean for the architecture of the internet itself over the next few years?
That's the million-dollar question.
We have spent this time exploring how the smartest, most structured, top-tier creators, that 5 to 10% who drive the actual economic value, are actively mitigating their risk by pulling their audiences off the rented platforms and into private-owned ecosystems.
They're leaving the public square.
Exactly. But I want to leave you with a final lingering thought to mull over. If this migration is successful, what happens to those massive social media platforms when they're left empty-handed?
And when talent leaves.
When the infinite scroll is populated only by the shallow, fleeting noise of the middle tier, and all the high-value relationships that move behind closed doors, how might those tech giants retaliate?
They won't just let it happen.
History shows us that massive platforms do not let their most lucrative assets walk away without a fight. How will they change the rules next to keep creators trapped in the volatility loop?
That is a very real impending conflict. The tug-of-war between centralized platform control and decentralized creator ownership is only just beginning, and the stakes are in the hundreds of billions.
It's going to be fascinating to watch unfold. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. We loved exploring the hidden mechanics of the digital world with you today. Keep building that infrastructure, stay out of the infinite scroll, and we will catch you on the next one. Take care.